Do you
No,
want me to do
just
it?
Andy.
Go on,
Yeah.
I'll do it instead. There you go.
Can you upload it then?
Yeah.
Yeah, able to upload to our YouTube, yeah?
Yeah, I'll do that, yeah.
Okay, so you're recording now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's get to the main screen and away we can go. Okay, evening all. Thank you all for attending. I know it's a Friday night and it's probably not your idea of Friday night should be, but with all just trying to get you up to date and a bit more up to speed and to give you some information as we're going along on what is happening, because there is loads going on. Literally, me, Matt and James had a meeting last night. Sorry, I'll introduce those that don't know. I'm Andy Bev and Matt is co-hosting with me tonight. He's going to be admitting them people as they come in. So do be patient. If you've got a problem, just WhatsApp us and we'll try and get Matt's attention to admit you. If you don't get admitted in, it may be because it was oversubscribed. Apparently you're only allowed up to 75, which we hit over that last time. So apologies for that. Yeah, just touching base. Things are changing all the time. They've even changed this afternoon as I spoke to Matt just briefly then, but I will touch on that in a minute. But we'll crack on straight away so as we can get straight into it. Basically, this is tonight is what I sent out on the team message, give you a little update of where we're at and where we're going and what we want to do this season. Okie dokie. So we've recorded it. If you can mute all your screens, it's going to be easier for me and Matt, so as we don't have to do it. And what we'll do is then when we finished is we'll do some Q&A. And likewise, if you want to email questions, if you find it easier or WhatsApp, then absolutely fine with that, guys. No problem at all. Okay, as we've shown this slide before, it is just touching on it again. Obviously now, since the last time we've showed this, we've actually offered places and players have accepted. Again, my vision is with this that we will play our under-18s. We'll be playing predominantly 16-year-olds, and our under-21s will predominantly be 18, 19-year-olds. And again, we'll come on to that again in a little while as we go into it. Again, just talking about those that haven't been in it before, that's just the self-funding sort of things that we're doing. Unfortunately, it's not a funded program. In a lot of, even if you go up to Cat 1 and 2, not some of their under 23s and 21 programs aren't funded. So certainly at Cat 3, under 21 programs aren't funded, and all pro clubs want a 21s, a bridge between the 18s and the full time. And this is what we're trying to do. And we're so, unfortunately, obviously it's a bit of needs of funding to start. I think the reason that I've put this one up to start with is the bottom 2 paragraphs about sponsorship, guys. That is so important, because the more sponsorship we get, even if it's a little amounts, even if it's, you know, and I don't dismiss little amounts, but what I mean is if it was just £50 or £100, every bit will help. It will come back into our program to bring it down till we've got the college program up and running, hopefully next year. Just touching on a couple of successes that the Development Centre programme at Cheltenham has worked. That's player on the screen at the moment, Adam Page. Page, he was with us at Cheltenham when I was back there in the 2013 years, and he was in the Development Centre. So he didn't get a scholarship deal. He stayed in the development programme as what we're doing and as what there is one in Cheltenham at the moment. And at the end of it, he was offered a pro deal because the opportunities do come along. So in 2017-18, he was a pro at Cheltenham. He went on loan at Hereford, and I think he went then back to Cheltenham the following season. And then since then, I think he's now at Evesham, which again is step 4, very decent standard, and obviously a club that we're closely linked with at Cheltenham as well. Another lad there, Cam Pring. Cam was with us again 2 years after Pagey. And again, through the Development Centre programme, came in, opportunities arose. He got into the full-time education programme, and then he's gone on and was signed by Bristol City. Obviously, Gary Johnson there, and is currently with Aldershot in the conference. Other than that, you've got the opportunities to go to the US with university programs. There's 4 lads on there that went, and this slide was done back in 2016 or 17, I believe. And so those 4 lads, the bottom lad, Kieran Slater, did the development program as well. He's back actually playing in Herefordshire at the moment, playing at Pegasus at step 6. So there are little routes and opportunities, guys, out there for what in whatever terms we do. You know, with the links we've got in certainly the leagues. And if you look at the one that we're on at the moment, this was just 18 months ago when quite a few of our development squad players actually had to help out in the FA Youth Cup with the scholars, which was great experience for them. And as you can see on the bottom one, they actually played in some reserve fixtures as well, as alongside some first team and some youth scholars in fixtures against your Torquays, your Swims, etc. So it's just trying to show to you that the program will work. Listen, I know I'm saying it to a lot of you guys that have probably heard me say this before, but this is just for some of the new ones that are in tonight. That's a lot of the routes, guys. And you know, it's almost like we class this program. This is why I love it. It's like that last chance saloon. I kind of look at it for lads that are, you know, have come out of football at 18 and suddenly got to go into the men's game, or at 16. Well, now we've got that opportunity with what we're doing in this program. And it is going to be a work in progress because, of course, the ages that we're working with. But again, you can see where it's all pointing towards, and there's loads of opportunities out there. I've put this slide on there, and the reason that I've put this one on there, this embodies a lot of what I'm about. The coach himself, I've read his books so many times, and so many of them, basketball coach. And success coming from knowing that you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. Where that is so important to somebody like myself is along the lines of, as long as you know you've done your best, then there's not a lot more you can do. The opportunities, when they come around and where they come around, will depend on other factors. But the next slide will show you exactly what I'm on about. If you look at these current players on there, guys, if you look at them, that's England's team last year at the World Cup potentially, and probably wouldn't be far off some of it now. And if you look at all of them on there, do you think when they were traded, fortunately I met Pickford's coach at a seminar last year, when he was 12 years old, he would not have got, he wouldn't have never thought himself, so I'm going to be training the future England goalkeeper. You know, I've been lucky enough to do it myself with a lad when he was 14 or 15. Never in your wildest visions do you think they will be England internationals. Look at all those players. When they were coached, first of all, they never believed they were going to be England internationals. Unless you're at a Cat 1 academy like your Liverpool and Man U. If you now look at it, you've got the Liverpool and Man U players on there, which is Trent and Rashford. I can't quite see them because my screen's covered by the gallery. But if you look at the rest, you've got Sunderland, Sheffield United, Barnsley, Leicester, Sunderland, Watford, Southampton, MK Dons. With all due respect, they're not top academies. So they're, you know, even Harry Kane, he was loaned out. So what I'm trying to say is we want to train you to be the highest level that you can be. And whatever happens from that, going on from it, again, those will be the opportunities that comes along. And that's why I touch on, you know, when Anton shared this slide when he was with us last meeting, you know, the wiser, the work ethic, the integrity, all of that, guys, is massively important. And the opportunities, trust me, they will come there. I think one of them is great at the moment. The Chris Wilder statement that's coming around at the moment, him saying that, you know, he goes to the pub quite regularly, or when he did before lockdown, and nothing annoys him more when he sees blokes in a pub and they look up at the TV screen and say, oh, that could have been me, or that could have been me. Yeah, and you know, and he just turns around and says, but it ain't. You know, Jamie Vardy is that, because he worked hard and he got knocked back and he went again and he got knocked back and he went again and he went to non-league. So you didn't do that. So shut up. That's not you. And that's going round at the moment. And it is so true. This is the stuff that you want to get into, guys. So basically, this is how we're going to try and do it this season. Okay, 1 squad, 2 teams, 25 plus players. And on the wall behind me, I've got roughly how many players we've got already signed up, which is great. We're going to be training in the summer. We're going to train at my place at the ranch, basically because we got the whole facility we can use at times that will suit us without anyone coming on, kicking us off or anything like that. The winter months will be at Pegasus. That has been an incredibly hard shift to get that over the line, but we've got a Monday night 9 till 10 and a Thursday night 8 till 10, still coping in with our 3 hours in those 2 slots. And I'll explain a little bit more detail around that in a minute. Our under-18s, which will probably be predominantly made up of our 16s, will play at Broomy Hill, which is at Hinton FC on a Monday night. That's the venue that we've picked at the moment. And Hinton's ground, I went there with the first team last year when we played them in the County Cup, and it's a great little facility, great little club, decent pitch, decent surface. We've already spoke with them. We've got a great link going on, which I'll come on to again in a little while. 21s, you'll be playing on a Saturday again. You're predominantly made up of 17, 18-year-olds. Is the target, with a few experienced heads coming in, I hope. You're going to play your games at Cheltenham's training ground. Okay, so they play on a Saturday morning at Seasons. And they're under 18 scholars obviously play at home every other week. So hopefully we'll work with the league and we can play at home. That's why I put 10:30, 12:30 kickoff. If our under 18s are at home and we can get the pitch till 12:30, then if we don't get another venue, which we possibly could, but it'll be nice to play it over there, we would then kick off at 12:30. Again, all matches, we will have 2 coaches and a physio. All players will have tickets, free tickets to all the first team games, whereas we'll be going as well and wanting you to do stuff, not just going and actually watching the game. Players not involved on match days will be trained or loaned to local clubs. And where I mean that, for example, is if the under-18s obviously not involved on the Saturdays, because the majority of you are going to be 16s, then we will try and loan you out to, say, for example, Hinton, any other Herefordshire Prem sides that we have recognised. We've created a couple of links with them already, just so as we can get that experience of actually throwing you into men's football. And 21s, if we've got a game on one of the nights, you'll probably be training, but if not, and we can get you training with an adult side, then we will get you in doing that as well. So we're definitely going to fill up all the options, guys. That's just a snapshot, guys, of the training schedule at the ranch during the summer period now. Okay, it's color coded, so as we know when we're on a Monday, Thursday night. So I'll get rid of the others and just concentrate on the 18s and 21s. So you'll be in on a Monday night from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. As you can see, it's 2-hour schedules. Basically, I don't want the sessions to run over, so I want us in on those times, and around it, I want to work as much as I can with you, especially in the earlier weeks. It's going to be a little bit restricted because we will have some guidelines to follow. And obviously, we've got matches, pre-season friendlies we've put in there. These, James and Matt have been brilliant on this. They've contacted the clubs, and a lot of the clubs have come back to us and said, well, we're not even contemplating friendlies. And I said, well, that's fine. We've made the contact. So as if we get the go-ahead, we've been given a date of mid-September for the league. That may well be pushed back. It probably will be, in all honesty. And if it is, we just reschedule and we just go back a little bit longer. But these are the dates we intend to start to come in. That's the typical 6-week pre-season training schedule plan that I've done. And last November, away on some work on my A license, CPD, I had to design a pre-season schedule for 6 weeks for a pro club. So that's very similar to it. Okay, obviously I've adapted it a little bit because obviously you're not in full time. So in terms of, I've gone in week 1 is a little bit easier. Week 2, we start doing our fitness testing. The fitness testing is basically 5 standard sort of tests. So for example, we would put your name into there. So I would put Matt Tunley, date. I would then do his height, weight. We would then do the 5 tests. Okay. And then on week 6, we would then do it again. And then as staff and players, we will all sit down and we will evaluate to where we are, which hopefully that 6-week period will be the start of the season. Highly unlikely it will be, but we're going to plan and prepare as if it is, and if we'll change, then we'll change. It's just something that I think, those are just basic tests that I want us to see where we're going and are we doing the correct things. Slide this one, guys, is something now that I'm going to get you guys to do. Okay, this is an injury prevention routine muscle activation warm-up. And you're going to do this with the bands. So what I want you to do is bring a band in to train with you, whatever. These, I will get these laminated so you've got them all anyway, guys. But I will put them up on the changing rooms, on the walls down here at the training venue. So as when you get here, what I would like is basically a little bit like tonight. We started at 18:02 and I wanted to start at 18:00. So when we start training, I want the ball rolling at 19:30. Okay, if training starts at 19:30, I want the ball rolling then. Ideally, and listen, I take into account that you've all got work, you've all got lives outside of here. I want you coming into training 10 minutes before, getting your bands, getting your laminated on the wall, and start doing those exercises straight away. We've got you as much as we long, because it's nothing more frustrating for me. Even when I was doing this with the first team last year, in the warm-up before games, I was spending 10 minutes while they're on the ball, 7.5 minutes it was, them doing the bands. Now, I know that's massively important, but there's also so much more information that I want to get into you. Just touching on the other sort of little bits that I'm going to go into the season. I won't go into this too much great detail tonight because this is stuff that we're going to talk about during the season. We're going to be doing a lot more of these sort of Zooms because, again, I'm conscious that if we do it on a training night, we're eating up into that training time, and I don't want to do that. And if you can't make it, guys, it's not the end of the world. Okay, it really is. And we're going to try and record them all. We'll upload them, but we're not going to share them to the general public. They'll be linked to our YouTube channel, and then you'll get the private link sent to you. So we're going to be able to coach you the 3 different blocks, which is obviously the high block, the high press, medium block, or low block. And these are sort of things that we're going to go through the season and start to coach you. And when I started to do this game model of how I want us to go this season, it was a little bit different than before, because it took me back to the time when I was, say, managing a semi-pro club, because this is how I want us to do it. Whilst that was all about results, as you can see in one of these slides, everything in this comes before winning, which is so important. So we focus on what we do and not the opposition. You'll understand I've put 70% in there because top teams dominate possession 70% of the time. And this is where we're aiming for. Are we going to get there? Going to try our best, and that's all we can do. I want people to recognize us, even if we wore a different colored shirt. They would know from our style of play. Zero compromising on wavering. Okay, everything comes before winning. And these are just little things, guys, that I want you to try and get in and understand. To me, there are 5 stages in a game. Okay, so we'll play the principles and not the patterns. And where I've put this slide up on screen now, and it's massively important, is there will be no excuses for players, for staff, for any of us. So if we come at a half time, we can say what stage we're at. And I'll touch on that just a little bit. I will go into this in more detail when we get the squad in the season, when we do stuff like this. But for example, stage 1 for me is getting to the halfway line. Okay, so this is focusing on us playing out from the back, etc. So where I've got aggressive positioning, that's, for example, if you've got my fullback, can he be aggressively positioned? Can he go nice and high? Therefore gives my centre back the chance to maybe step out with the ball. Now again, I look at my centre back's got to have a 90% pass completion, because you're nice and open, the whole team is open. The last thing we need is you trying to play a 25-30 yard pass through a tight area. So that all depends. You've got to be patient with what you do. You've got to be good in the circulation. You've got to be good in the tempo of how you pass it. So again, we're looking to get that halfway line on our stage 1, however that may be, whether our midfield pivot drops in or however that is. Then you look to stage 2 and you look at movement ahead of the ball. And there's just one little bit that I absolutely love in this one, and I've stolen this one, as all coaches do. The first one on there, the 7-and-1 movements. I stole that from Liverpool, so not a bad one, from Pep Lijnders. What they did is they took a study of top European players and Liverpool when they're in Europe and in the Premier League, and they make 7 movements to get the ball once. So you imagine I've got my centre half on the ball. I'm a wide player. It goes to the fullback. I'm a wide player. I want to receive it short, so I move away to come back. That's one movement, and I don't get it. And how many times do we see players go, oh, I've just made a run? That's once. I expect 7 to get 1. Now, if we're talking it's good enough for elite players to do that, can we do that? That's, it's just opening our minds up to that. So it's the movement ahead of the ball, the 150 turnovers, again, which I'll come on to in greater detail at a later date. If a door is closed, can we come back and start a better attack? All these little things. So we've got the movement ahead of the ball from getting into the other half. Then we look at the creation. So we look at our forward type players, midfield players. Can we create? Can we get the different types of crosses? If we're playing a team with a low block, I would say to you, for example, okay, you've got a team in low block, and you'll see it in the Premier League. You'll see it last night. Not so much last night. Palace didn't defend that deep, but a lot of teams defend deep. So what they tend to do is they get the ball back, and then you'll get like a De Bruyne cross, I call it, the inside cross, to try and break a low block. You'll look for slide passes because you're in that creation zone. When you go from the creation zone, you touch on the transition, because when you're in the transition, this is the one where you lose the ball. Well, when you lose the ball, 9 times out of 10, you're open and expansive because you're in possession of the ball. So it's that transition, that swarm to get it back, that aggressiveness, 11 pressing to get the ball back with one brain. And then I've put in there, get to 5 or regain. Okay. What I mean by that is we've lost possession. We're open and expansive. Right. We've got to get it back. We get it back within that 5-6 seconds. We win the ball back. Now, can we get to 5 passes before we get expansive again? Because if you imagine we get back, we win the ball back because we swarm them, all of a sudden we're nice and compact again. We need to explode again to get that transition where we're now back in possession. And so then we would only need to come back to creation 3. If we don't win the ball back, we've probably got to come back to getting back to creation 1. And then the final one, which is the defensive setup. And again, don't think that we won't be doing defensive work, because you'll see the training schedule that I've got lined up and the sort of things that we're going to touch on there. And to me, that is massively important. And this is where I touch on. So imagine we've come in at 3-0 at half time, and I say to you, okay, for example, I'll just pick any player, Ollie Ganeen, right, what stage are we at? We're 3-0 down. What are we doing wrong there? He can straight away, he could look at that screen and he could say, Well, we get into the halfway line. Yeah, we're getting to there. Well, we got movement. Well, not great. I could do with better movement. Okay, fine, that's good. Okay, what about creation? Are we getting creation? You know, so we all know where we are is our transition, Paul. So at any stage, there's no excuses. And I think, to me, that's the biggest one, guys. Just going to touch on this quickly because I know we're going to run out of time, guys, and I'm sure there may be some questions. I've done a player profiling possession specific on the positions that are key to the team. That's every player. Now, you'll look at that straight away and you'll say, well, that's only 5 players. Well, there's 2 fullbacks, 2 centre-backs, and there's more than 1 front player. So just to touch on it, and remember what I'm saying here, this is player profiling, possession specific. So I'm not saying goalkeeper must be a shot stopper, must be great catching the ball in the air. To me, we're very lucky we've got a great goalkeeping coach in Matt, but not only that, that's a gimme as a goalkeeper. So I want us possession based. So he's got to be brave with his decision making, with his playing out, and we will lose goals from doing it. And I do not care. I really do not care. Okay, go into our fullbacks again. If you look at the second paragraph in there, it links in with what I was saying earlier about aggressive positioning to receive the ball, body shape to receive, to go forward. Sorry, I've just had to click off the time schedule. Okay, centre-backs. Centre-backs, again, if you look at the bottom paragraph on there, I've gone into that 90% ball retention, minimising the passing risk distances. Again, massively important, guys. And all these slides, guys, that I will show you, so do not panic on any of it. And you then go to your midfield pivot. He then has to understand the game awareness, understanding how aggressive we're doing. If our fullbacks are aggressive in positioning, does he drop into that midfield pivot and the centre-back split out? Or does he go into a fullback area? You're all going to be capable of doing these inverted roles. And there's your 11 players now. So I've highlighted the 5 front players as the rest of the team. And to me, if you look down them, again, the list on there is quite detailed. Again, I've got the 7-in-1 movements. So it is all massive, guys, and it's all stuff that we want to do. Now, on this spreadsheet now, this is something that Category 1 teams use, and we're Cat 3 at Cheltenham. And it's something that Matt's put together with me, helping him, giving him the stuff that I want him to put on there, and he's brought this up. Basically, this is our squad at the moment. So the ones in blues are the ones that are offered, the ones in grey are on trial, and the ones in red that I haven't heard back from or haven't received the form or have declined. Okay, so if you look at that, it just gives me, and this is why Matt has sent the information out, asking you for your height and your weight and your preferred positions. So we've got 2 or 3 positions, but it gives us a snapshot at any single time we want. So if you look at that, top of my head, I'm saying there's probably 10 or 12. There's about 12, 14 players in the under 18s, and there's about 8 or 9 in the under 21s. Now, if I'm an under 21 and I'm looking at that, what's my first thought? Is it, oh my goodness, how are we going to cope? There's only 9. No, I would think straight away, I'm playing every week. I'm playing every week. And the reason I look at that, guys, obviously we're bringing in more players yet. We've got quite a few coming in on trial. But what I'm looking at that is predominantly the under 18s is going to be filled up at that of the younger ages. And some of the under 18s, a couple of them are going in on trial with the scholars at Cheltenham. So if they come back, they may well be pushed into the 21s. So there's going to be so much game time. It's going to be brilliant, guys. It really, really is exciting. We're talking of which, we've got the under 21s AGM next week. So this is just little bits that we're doing off-road at the moment. I'm conscious we're going to be out in 7 minutes. So this is just a training schedule that I've put together for this. Again, like I looked at that 6 weeks. So if we just touch on it quickly, week 1. So we're looking at just basically playing through midfield, out of possession. We're focusing on, can we look at to deal with centrally attacking situations and be compact and prevent penetration. Week 2, we go into the fitness stage of it. Again, we're going to work around the patterns of play and the movements required to be able to play out from the back, whilst also learning to do a bit of pressing. And then in week 3, we go to developing the attacking phase of our game through penetrating through teams. Out of possession, we're looking to defend deep, preventing teams playing through, forcing them wide, keeping them locked in. And that's an important part. Obviously, I won't go through the whole setup. What has changed today, we've been informed that for the first week, we will be at stage 1, which is stage 1 of comeback from Project Restart. Basically, so we'll still be working in the groups of 5 or 6. Now, I know some of you may have heard that, well, no, there's a lot of contact training there is. It's got to be done gradually. So I would think by week 2 or 3, depending on the sessions that we have, we should be into contact by then. And that's fingers crossed it all goes well. But this is just to give you an idea of it, you know, and obviously if these sort of things happen and it gets delayed, it's great because it means we have more time with you. But again, you'll look at the schedule on there. And again, guys, I will upload a lot of these documents to our Teamer site, so you can go onto the Teamer site and have a look at the documents. And again, if you want to request any of them, just send me. I've got them all on PDFs I can send to you. Obviously, you know, they're for our viewing for our centre and any of our boys. So I just want you to see it so as you can see it. And as you can see on there, week 5 we look at should be ideally 2 weeks out from the start of the season. So we might ramp up the matches then, and then week 6 is actually we do the fitness testing stage, and then we just take that step back before we go into it. So in an ideal world, guys, that is where it should all be at the moment. And then obviously the kit. But the kit packs, the reason I put the kit pack ones back on there, guys, is that don't panic if you have ordered your kit. I ordered kit, and that was on the 24th of June, I think. It still hasn't come. They said it takes 28 days. And as you can imagine, they're overloaded at the moment this time of the year. So that is about it, guys. So let me stop share. And we are back to the main screen. We've got a couple of minutes. Is there anything that I haven't mentioned? First of all, school teacher Matt.
No, there's nothing that you haven't mentioned. If anyone has got a question, don't be afraid to just ask it now in the remaining time that we have. Anyone at all? Otherwise, if you want to send a DM to us, either myself or Andy through Facebook, WhatsApp or Twitter, just carry on. That's fine. Yeah,
guys, listen, I do know what I've given out is probably a heck of a lot of information. Do you want to stop the recording of it, Matt?
Yeah, no worries, yeah.
What we've given out is a lot of information.